All right, everybody, good morning. Welcome back. And we've got some work to do today. And I'm going to try the best that I can to get through all these receivers by the end of tomorrow, but it's a lot. We got a lot going on. We've got I want to get through like 30 guys over the next couple days. That's a lot. That's a big ask. So, I'm going to do 15 today, 15 tomorrow, and hope we can do it. It's going to take a lot, but I think that it can happen. I believe in myself, and I believe in you guys. Also, by the way, while we're here, just want to say that tonight, the Hawks Nest stream is going to be about wide receivers. So we're just going to be ODing on wide receivers for a couple days here, and then we can go ahead and park it. We can go ahead and put it all in the back and wait for the actual draft to get here. But wide receivers. So Xavier Worthy is going to lead us off here. He is, as of right now, probably the best of the receivers expected to go in the second round. 21 years old from Texas, the other Texas receiver. 5'11", 165, so he's small. Kind of short arms, small hands, but the combine absolutely put him over the top. 4'2", 140, which is, I think, the fastest ever. Insanely good 10-yard split. The vertical, 41 inches. Almost an 11-foot broad. The guy is a freak athlete. And in light of that, most of the big boards have him in the very early second. A couple actually have him in the late first. PFF, for some reason, has him in the early third. So they're out of sync. The database has him 34th, so basically right at the top of the second round. So this guy has become a very valued commodity, and it's all about that speed. You can't teach speed. Speed kills. You guys know how it goes, so I get it. I completely get it. Productive for the last 2 years. 1,000-yard season in 2023. And remember, he is playing with some phenomenal supporting talent around him. Mitchell, who is considered a better receiver than him. Sanders. Jonathan Brooks. So, yeah. Xavier Worthy. He's bringing some really nice things to the table here. A lot of drops. Drop rate is high. But he's a very special talent. Deadly running those deep routes. That is something that is always going to be there for him. You are going to have to adjust your whole defense to account for Xavier Worthy. It could play out like Tyreek Hill, where Tyreek Hill's deep speed is just so much that he just changes the way you have to play defensively every time you go against his team. So that right there tells most of the story with Xavier Worthy. While he's not a tremendous yards after the catch threat, he could turn into like Dante Hall if you get him the ball in the open field. You get Xavier Worthy the ball in space, and you might see him go do something crazy. You might see him go like Dante Hall used to do. And if you don't remember Dante Hall, look him up. Human joystick stuff. Used his speed and athletic ability to just tear up as a punt returner. Tear up teams. So that is appealing. He's athletic enough to run a lot of routes. His short area quickness and his agility should mean that he's a good route runner down the line. And he's a good ball tracker. He is the ultimate deep threat. Now, when I say that the deep speed and the pure speed and the acceleration and the athleticism is most of the picture with Xavier Worthy, that's not entirely a compliment. It mostly is. But there are some things about him that definitely raise questions. He's thin. He's small. He's physically weak. He's not going to be able to beat press at the line of scrimmage, especially with his route running right now. He doesn't win contested catches. If the rep is contested, he pretty much always loses one way or the other. There are some concerns about his effort on some plays. It's like the old Randy Moss thing. I play when I feel like playing. I try hard when I feel like trying hard, and sometimes he doesn't. So you do have a little bit of that to concern yourself with. He only really has a couple gears. He has like I'm going to just jog this rep because I don't think I'm getting the ball speed. And then he has, I'm flying at 1,000,000 miles an hour speed. You need to have gears. You need to be able to shift between different speeds to unlock your route running ability. And right now he doesn't really do that. Can't beat press, like I said. He's just too small and probably never will be able to because he is a weaker guy. And he's got a lot of drops. 12 drops over the last 2 years on 135 catches. So there are some real issues here. It's easy to fall in love with him. And I love speed. I always fall for speed. I'm just going to say that right now. When I see a guy flying with these 4.2 140 times, I'm just like, sign me up. But I really tried to force myself to not do it this time because there's so much else that he isn't bringing to the table here. The physicality is not there. The effort doesn't seem like it's there. The ability to shift gears is not there. So much stuff is not here yet. The hands are not there. The route running is, I mean, it should be there down the line, but right now it's not. So could this guy be Tyreek Hill? Yeah, but as I wrote here, he could also be John Ross. John Ross was about this fast, and John Ross never really did anything of note in the NFL. So I'm a little more hesitant here. I'm going to say third round, and I know he's not going to be there in the third round. He will go in the second round, I'm sure, if not the first. And I get it. But I just feel like this is a guy who's going to burn you in the John Ross fashion. I just do. I don't feel great about this one, and usually I love these guys. If you can run like this, I'm going to fall in love with you. Okay, next up, we're going to take a look at Lad McConkey. Very fun name, very interesting name here. Georgia Bulldog, 22 years old, 6 feet tall, 186 pounds, so a little bit small, but not critically so. Short arms, small hands. Ran a nice little gamut at the combine. Good 40, good acceleration, okay vert, good broad. Low bench press reps, but whatever. Although we would like to see a little bit more because he's got the short arms. Most of the big boards put him either in the back end of the first or the top end of the second. The database currently has him early in the second. So, big reason why he's not in the first is because he was not productive last year. He got hurt, missed time, and he only had 30 catches, less than 500 yards last season for Georgia. Still played well, still did what he could when he was out there, but he just wasn't out there enough. Year before that, definitely more prolific. 60 catches, 760 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's a good player, but there is a little bit of an injury concern with him. He never had that one big breakout season. He never had that year where he just put it all together. And in fairness, he's playing on Georgia. They're too good for you to put up dominant receiving stats a lot of the time. You're just not going to get enough throws. So, McConkey, phenomenal route runner. One of the best route runners you're going to find as a rookie in any class. He gets it all. He understands how to shake defenders during the route. He understands how to snap off his routes cleanly. He understands how to sell a fake with his double move. He understands so much stuff about running routes. He understands how to get leverage. He understands all this stuff that is so important to playing receiver in the NFL. He's got great hands for the most part. I'm going to come back to that in a minute here. For the most part, he's got great hands. Understands zone coverage. He's one of those guys who's really good at seeing what the zone coverage is, finding the hole and sitting down in it for his quarterback, like JSN was last year. Excellent after the catch. He turns into a punt returner after he gets the ball in his hands. By the way, he might also be able to be a decent punt returner in the NFL. His speed was more than I expected. Sub 4.4 is really good. So, Lad McConkey might be able to keep defenses honest at the very least with his speed. It's more than a lot of people were expecting of McConkey coming out of the Georgia. Now, the injuries are a concern. He's fought his way through some injuries so far in his career. Leaves some big plays on the table via drops, which that's kind of the one area where he does occasionally have his hands fail him. He drops passes. And the drops that he has tend to be on deep throws that he just can't quite bring in. So he's leaving a lot of meat on the bone with some of these drops because they're not just little drops that would have been like, oh, that's a 4-yard pickup. No, it would have been like a 40-yard pickup. So maybe a little bit of a lapse when it's a deep shot. We'll see if that stands going into next season because last year he only dropped 2 passes. He's not really strong enough to play through contact. He's not really strong enough to beat press man at the line of scrimmage. And he's not strong enough to win contested catches. He's just kind of a physically weaker player, and he doesn't bring those skills to the table. So he's fun. He's kind of your poor man's Marvin Harrison Jr. You know, he's another guy who's a route running wizard, but he's a smaller, he's not quite the physical specimen, and he doesn't have quite as good a hands. But there's a lot in common with him and Marvin Harrison Jr., I feel like. He'll definitely be good in the NFL because he can run routes so well, and his athletic profile is not limiting. Like, we're not talking about Jake Bobo here. This guy can fly. This guy's going to be able to run past cornerbacks at the NFL level. So I'd put him in the second round, but it's so early in the second round that you may as well just put him in the first. Like, split the difference. Who cares? He's 32nd. He's 33rd. He's up there. He's awesome. And I've grown to really like McConkey the more I've looked at him. Okay, one more guy for this video, and then we'll be moving on in a couple of hours. Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman of the Seminoles. Favored target of one Jordan Travis. 21 when the season starts. Bigger guy. 6'3", 213 pounds. 32 and an 1/8 inch arms. 9 and 3/8 inch hands. So he's got size. What he does not have is speed. 4'6", 140. And that's not really surprising to anybody. It's not like he had a bad day. He probably is about that slow. His acceleration's okay, so that's cool. His vert was good. His broad was really good, so he's athletic. He's explosive, but he's not fast. And most of the big boards have him somewhere in the second. Draft Network loves him. They have him 13th overall, which is a fantasy. Walter Football has him in the late first as well, which I guess that could happen. But the aggregate has him in the early second, which I think is realistic. The production didn't quite get to where it needed to go in 2023, if we're being honest. I know that there are obvious reasons why it happened, and he still had the 11 touchdowns. Very rarely does he drop passes, but 50 catches for 660 yards is not going to bowl anybody over. He was a little bit better in production in 2022. The thing that stands out about Keon Coleman is the remarkable catches. His highlight reel is loaded with incredible diving, jumping, twisting around catches. He has phenomenal ball skills. He has a massive catch radius, great hands. So that is the story with Keon Coleman. You put it up in his area, he's going to go get it. He's really good at utilizing his size to win at the catch point. It's like a Dez Bryant sort of thing. It's like what we want DK Metcalf to be able to do, and usually he struggles to do it a little bit. Keon Coleman can do it. Good hands, fights through contact for extra yards. He's somebody who will be a yak threat because he breaks tackles. And even though he's slower, and I'm not saying I love this, his ability to break tackles also offers punt returner upside. Now, he doesn't really separate from defensive backs, which is why most of his catches are contested. There's a reason why he's so good at them. He has to be. Doesn't have speed. You would expect him to be a good run blocker, but really he's not. He should be better given how big he is. And even though he's bigger, again, press coverage will just take him out of the rep. So those would be things I look at and go, he should probably get better at those things, but it's weird that he's not already a little bit better at it. So he's going to have to find his niche in the NFL. It's not a clear, straight path for Coleman, but I imagine him as an oversized slot receiver, maybe like a Kelvin Benjamin, not Kevin Benjamin, this is Kelvin Benjamin, or Mike Thomas. His ball skills are really, really good, and the ball skills should be the thing that override this and make him successful, even though you're going to have to find the right team in the right situation to make him successful, because a big receiver that can't handle press probably is not what some teams are going to be looking for. So you got to use him in the slot, I think, primarily. So middle second round seems all right to me. You just need to have an offense that is understanding of what he is. I'll take him in the middle second. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the guys who can't run, but in the modern NFL, I think speed for receivers matters a little bit less because the cover 2 shell is trying to take away the big play. So the ability to play underneath and break tackles and turn small catches into big gains matters more. So a guy like Keon Coleman, who normally I would have kind of pushed to the side because I'm like, oh, he can't run. Now I'm like, well, maybe this actually works better for where the league is right now. I don't know. But middle second round for me. All right, more receivers coming later. Let me know what you think of this crop. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks.